They say if you want change, you need to make change, and I'm telling you right now, healing my fibromyalgia was some of the hardest changes I've ever done, but I'm here to share with you because I am living proof, not a doctor, not paid, not sponsored to do any of this. I'm just a regular human girl, a regular soul who got fibromyalgia and healed herself. So I'm going to share that story with you today. Hello beautiful soul, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Jess, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how I healed my fibromyalgia. It has been almost 10 years to the date that I experienced a car accident that forever changed my life. I got in this car accident on July 1st of 2014, and that was the catalyst to release the fibromyalgia in my body. So not to get too crazy into the details of things before or that car accident or afterwards, I just kind of want to get to the part where I started noticing things and then share the changes that I made over the past decade of things to heal. And mind you, I am not a doctor. I have no sort of certifications, qualifications. I qualified myself. I intuitively navigated the process of my healing and guided myself to where I felt my body needed to go in order to heal the next stage, the next level, the next version of my new healed body, right? So before all of this happened, I never knew what fibromyalgia was. And it wasn't until I started to develop a lot of weird, interesting symptoms, things like, oh my god, skin burning, deep muscular pains, twitches all over my body, my hair hurt to move, I was so tired I couldn't even literally stay awake, just so many random things. Indigestion, I think, was one of the first really random weird ones that I got. Just like a bunch of things. There's so many that I don't want to remember, and I just just a lot of symptoms. So in 2015, at the beginning of 2015, Mark lost his dad suddenly, and I started a new business as a personal trainer for women. So I don't know if it was the events of the fibromyalgia starting to rear its ugly head, but that whole year was so difficult. I was only training like 6 hours a week, and I could barely get it together. I was so fatigued, so in pain, so confused, trying to understand like what was going on. And it wasn't until later that year where I had gone to see a doctor, and they were like, well, you've got all the symptoms of fibromyalgia. This is what we normally would do to heal it. And it was talking about antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication, painkillers, morphine patches, things to manage the pain, like really heavy shit. And at the time, I was trying to process it all and just trying to understand what fibro was. Why did this happen? Why did it happen as a catalyst from my car accident? Like, why did I start getting an onset of symptoms after that? All of 2015 was rough. I was forcing the energy. I was trying to understand what that meant. And towards the end of 2015, I started to slip into a really dark depression. So for about 3 months, the end of 2015 into 2016, I was heavily depressed. I was at my heaviest weight. I got up to 185 pounds. I stayed in this room in the pitch black dark every single day. I slept like 20 hours a day and would only move to eat a random meal if my husband had brought me, say, a meal or something. I was living off of Taco Bell and naps, and that was that. And it was tragic and sad, and I was mourning every single aspect of the life and the energy and my body that I had before. What's crazy is I didn't even realize that the body, the mind, all of that I had before was nowhere near healthy. Even when I was suffering my fibromyalgia, the before me was not healthy. She had gone through it, and this is where I start to piece things together. After those 3 months of being heavily depressed, it's like I slowly start to like pull myself out, and it's like, okay, we felt our feelings, this fucking sucks, this low despair, the darkest of dark, the heaviest of things that you have been through up to this point in your life, and you need to feel them and you need to move that energy through. So that's what I did. After I was done mourning for that moment, that aspect of my life, I started to pull myself out. And I started with little things. And at the beginning in 2014 and 15, when I was starting to get the onset of pain, I was medicating at the time. I was taking Vicodins, I was taking heavy amounts of Motrin, I was doing anything I could, anti-anxiety medication, antidepressants, anything essentially that I could do to offset this heavy blanket of feelings and pain and just everything that the fibromyalgia had brought into my life. I was numbing, I was coating, I was covering up, I was putting the band-aid on it. Also, in 2016 is when I decided to go back to therapy. I was going to talk therapy specifically to a therapist who specialized in brain spotting. And brain spotting has been prolifically healing for my soul. It has helped me so much move trauma through the body without necessarily having to relive it, right? So talk therapy, again, maybe not for everybody, but for me, for my husband, for people I know, it's been so helpful. So again, use your discernment, and if it aligns with you, try it out. But for me, going to therapy and getting the acknowledgement that yes, indeed, the things that I experienced were abuse. Yes, they were manipulative, and just all these different layers of, you know, within yourself, you start to have a lot more empathy for yourself, and then you also start to just continue to put pieces together. So when I started to do the brain spotting, I was able to move through a lot of trauma out of my body. When I was going back to therapy, I was able to recognize that I had a traumatic childhood. I had a lot of trauma in my childhood. And I think after understanding that and realizing how long my nervous system had been in fight or flight pretty much my entire life, it was no wonder that my body was screaming with dis-ease, because it was begging for me to heal it, begging for me to pay attention to it, begging for me to feel and release it. So I was told to read the book, The Body Keeps the Score. This book right here, if you get nothing else from this video, not a damn thing, it is to read this book. This book broke me open. It completely showed me so many things that I was unaware of, and I mean, wow, the body keeps the score. So after I read that, and I realized that none of this was coincidental. My life of growing up in trauma, growing up in fight or flight, growing up in various levels and different types of abuse had led me to store all of this disease within my body. When I read this book, and I was like, oh my gosh, everything is connected. Everything is connected. So while I began my journey of realizing like, wow, my childhood had a huge impact on this that I have right now. Like, I've never even faced and acknowledged my trauma, let alone moved or worked through it. So of course, it was all still trapped in my body. And what's really weird is in 2013, I actually had a near-death experience, but I was able to control and navigate myself out of it, which I want to talk about my near-death experience in a separate video. Navigate out of it. So that was like a very heavy trauma, but I was able to get myself out. And I think when I had the car accident in 2014, when I was rear-ended at a red light, I had nowhere to go. There was nothing I could do, and I just watched in the rearview mirror as I saw him coming up. So it's one of those things like control, fight or flight, trauma's in your body, right? So I just started really putting pieces together, and I had to get really honest with myself, and I was like, you know, the medical industry has always done me really freaking dirty. Growing up, I was always sick, passing out, seizures, in and out of the doctors, which the body keeps the score. So like, now I know why. It was the fucking trauma I was going through. But the whole point is I was super sickly, and none of the doctors ever asked me like, what are you going through? What's going on? You know, everyone wanted to push pills.
What business are you in?
Everyone's a fucking drug dealer.
Oh, I make my bread and butter.
Fucking pusher, pushing pills, pushing this, pushing that.
I'm pushing.
So I realized after I was told about the umpteen amount of things that you would be on to manage your pain for fibro, I was like, this does not align with me. So starting in 2016, I stopped all pharmaceuticals. I got off anxiety medication, I got off depressants, I got off Vicodins, Motrins, anything over the counter I completely stopped taking in 2016. And I started moving towards like this holistic journey. And now there is such an array of things that I'm about to tell you and list of things that I've done. I don't remember the exact order, but I'm just going to share what worked for me. Again, it either resonates for you and your body and your soul, or it doesn't. Check in with your doctor. Again, I am not one. I am just sharing my experience, what I learned, what I evolved through, and how I actually healed myself. So becoming really aware of like this holistic journey was really critical to my healing journey. I started looking into Ayurvedic practices. I started tongue scraping and doing oil pulling and, oh my gosh, dry brushing for my lymphatic system. I started doing no coffee. I went gluten, dairy, vegan for a year to try to clean out, but then that didn't feel good on my body, so I reintroduced stuff, just the clean versions. Switched to all like organic things, a lot of non-toxic. Switched my deodorant, no more heavy metal deodorant, no toxic toothpaste, no fluoride in my toothpaste. I switched out my toxic toothbrush. It's not plastic, it's wooden. So there's just like all these different, you know, like natural brushes, bristles at the top. So just like all these little things. I switched my shampoo, I switched my body butter. I stopped wearing makeup for a really long time because I wasn't sure what was contributing to my symptoms. I was just really trying to understand myself, my body, what it needed, and how I needed to shift through and heal myself. I started taking detox baths, which consist of baking soda, why am I blanking? Epsom salts. You can do a little bit of essential oil, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I put, I don't know, just random things, just detox bath, baking soda, Epsom salt, go. I started looking into things like how fragrances and candles, even around the house, and cleaning products all interrupt our endocrine system. So I started researching the endocrine system and figuring out where can I learn to shift through these things in like a big but minimal way, because obviously it's not ideal. Like no one can just flip everything to non-toxic right away. So that's why I'm saying these things were like little gradual changes. It felt really easy to start by like not drinking tap water. Great, okay, so like figure out a different water source. Don't drink straight up chlorine tap water. Just little things like that are a cheaper fix, or just like switching out your toothpaste, your deodorant, your toothbrush, you know, like little things like that. So brain spotting and somatic exercises have been instrumental in my healing because they allow you to move that stagnant energy, that trauma out of your body, like I said, without having to relive it, which is so important because talk therapy is so great. It is so wonderful if it's wonderful for you. But there are some people, depending on what type of trauma you've been through, where that is not the route to go. You may need to go a different route first to, you know, release some of that built up trauma in just like a really gentle way. So somatic exercises, I do the Workout Witch for her bundles. I love her. Dietary changes, okay? I cut out coffee. I told you about the no dairy, no meat and all that gluten for like a full year, but that wasn't good for my gut health. It didn't feel good. So I integrated back like organic milk and like, you know, like these types of things. I stopped drinking alcohol. I stopped eating out. I stopped not cooking whole organic foods. And as the years progressed, it was like little aspects of my symptoms would start to lessen, but nothing was dramatic right away. This was at least 6-7 years. I'm sorry to break it to you. 6-7 years of consistently doing things to heal myself, to take it to the next level, to heal this aspect, this version, this next thing, this whatever. It takes a long time. There is no overnight fix. So if you came here for an overnight fix, I'm so sorry. This isn't the place. That wasn't my experience. So I could not share that with you because that's not what I experienced. It's a long, drawn out process. But what's longer? This 8, 9, 10 years of me healing or the rest of my God-given life. And personally, I would rather take having to do this really difficult, hard work over and over again than having to continue with being in the pain, in the mindset, and in the energetic space of where I was when I had my fibromyalgia. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, this version of me today is healthier than I've ever been, and it's insane. And then I got to the layers of the deeper things. So this is when I started doing parasite cleansings. I started doing heavy metal detoxes. I did liver detoxes, things to support my adrenals, things to support my endocrine system. Just like all these things that I had never been aware of before, but I realized how integrated and everything is so connected to one another. So I noticed the biggest differences in my overall energy and my symptoms when I did the heavy metal detoxing and when I did parasite cleansing, and also when I did any sort of like cleanses. So like the liver cleanse. I started yoni steaming, which is another Ayurvedic practice. It was anything that I could do to help release trauma, to help balance my body, to help regulate my nervous system, and to get me to a place where my body was healing. A really big aspect of this was my mindset and affirmations specifically for my mindset. So I'll try to find a picture and I'll put that up of all the affirmations that I had. They hung right here on the wall behind me. And I repeated those affirmations at least 3 times a day. And if I made eye contact with it, that meant like, let's get to it, like repeat it again. So by having these affirmations, essentially, this is how I'm breaking it down. The way that you manifest is by your energetic alignment followed by aligned action. Now, the aligned action was there. I was reading, I was healing, I was detoxing, I was nourishing, I was doing all of the things to heal, while I was healing my mental, while I was healing how I spoke about myself and my fibromyalgia. In order to heal, you need to be so aware that everything, as I keep saying, everything is connected. So even down to the way that you're talking to yourself in the middle of a flare is so crucial and so important. So instead of falling into the depressive tendencies in the beginning where I'd be like, oh, I hate this. I hate my life sucks. I can't believe my body feels this way. I hurt so bad. I'll never feel better again. This is terrible. This is horrible. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Feels like someone's scalping me when my hair moves. It feels like my skin is burning. I feel like I got hit by 7 trains. All these things. I started to talk to myself differently. And I started to say things like, every cell in my body is thriving. My body knows how to heal itself. I am healthy, I am healing, I am whole. Things like this. Things like that to rewrite your subconscious, rewrite the programming of the reality to what you actually want to be living. So if you're going to sit in the darkness, that's fine, but you might stay there a little bit longer than if you were to put in a more positive perspective with that aligned action towards your healing. Your body listens to everything you tell it. Every single thing, every thought, every feeling, every action, everything. Everything is energy. If you're putting your energy towards healing, then you also need to be putting your energy towards healing your mindset. Because if you heal this along with those aligned actions, you are going to get through with so much more grace and so much more love and conviction for your life. And it's crazy. That's like one of the biggest puzzle pieces being put together is it's just the mindset with the aligned action. So the affirmations were a complete game changer for me. Again, did I yawn and say, oh, my life's different, I'm perfect the next day? No, it took me years and years and years. But there came a time after like 4 or 5 years of doing really heavy, deep work that my symptoms started to lessen. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, my legs only kind of like hurt like to a 5 today. Like I can maybe do something, or, you know, like I have a little bit more energy today. I think I can actually go to the grocery store, or wow, like I have the energy to do the dishes today, which is a small reminder for you guys. Like, I know how it is to go through any chronic illness, and it is fucking hard. It is so hard. So also, while you're in this journey, while you're going through this journey, learn to celebrate the small wins. If all you did was get out of bed today and took a shower or a bath, be fucking proud of yourself. That is huge. That is so big. It is so hard to do anything when you are in a flare or with a chronic illness. So just know to have more empathy and compassion for yourself, because that shit is hard. It is hard hurting every day, but it's also hard to heal. So this is where it comes down to choose your hard. Choose your hard. I'm just here to tell you that I chose the hardest of the hard, but here I am on the other side and your girl is healed. I have not had a fibromyalgia flare in years. I still work on getting my energy a little bit up to where I would like it to be, but that is it. I don't have any other symptoms that I experience. It is kind of insane. It kind of feels like I am a whole new person, shifted out of a completely new body to be able to be here and be like, oh my gosh, like, look at me today. I already cleaned, I worked out, I meal prepped, I did my makeup, I got ready, I'm filming. Like, this, if you have fibro right now, like, you would just be like, oh my God, like, that's impossible for me right now. But I'm telling you, this can be you one day. I am a mere reflection of the potential of what you can be one day. You've got to just take the first step. You've got to trust yourself. You've got to align to what your body needs. And you've got to feel the feels, move the traumas out, face some shit. Do the heavy work, my friend. And I promise you, it is worth it. It is so, so worth it. So I really hope this was helpful for you. I hope that you feel inspired that you too can heal, because you can. Please let me know down below if you have any questions for me about my symptoms, about my healing, about a certain aspect of the healing that I brought up today. Let me know if you're about to go purchase this book, because it will change your freaking life. It will change your life. And just let me know any other questions you have for me about fibro or this video or anything. I really, really, really hope for you that you are able to take something from this video and inspire yourself to make some moves, because life is long and it does not have to be long and sufferable like you're suffering now. So I just hope that I'm a beautiful reminder for you to just know that, like, you too can heal, and I really hope that for you. So I am sending you so much love, so much healing. I'm holding space for you, and I really hope that you're able to heal. So let's chat down in the comments below, and thank you as always for being here and watching this video. I am sending so much love your way, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.